G'day and welcome to the Ball Boys NBA podcast. I'm here with my good friends, colleagues, Jermayne and Cal. How you boys doing?
Doing well, Mitchy. How you going?
I'm doing well, mate. Good to catch up with you. And Jermayne is coming in live from the studios of TNT.
Yeah, just reporting from Atlanta, Georgia. Just here with my boys, Kenny, Charles, and Shaq.
Hey, I'm glad you can take some time out of your busy schedule to tune in with us, Australians.
No worries.
So, a little bit of news today, boys. We normally we'd record the podcast on a Wednesday night here our time, but we happen to sort of be unavailable, and so we're recording on Thursday night. And lucky we did, because we had these fake trades for James Harden lined up, but in actual fact, James Harden was traded today. He's been traded to the Brooklyn Nets. Now, obviously, this was the rumored trade going into the season and everything like that. And actually, Callum, just on the most recent podcast, you predicted that he was not going to be traded, which unfortunately hasn't aged well.
I was sold on the Rockets. I was like, they're a sleeper team for the playoffs. Let's go. John Wall, James Harden, Christian Wood.
Yeah. I think they rattled off a few losses after you've said that, but so the trade's gone down. It's the blockbuster trade of the season. I just want to get your boys' initial thoughts. Jermayne, what's your first thoughts with the trade breakdown?
Man, as exciting as it sounds, I'm just sick of these super teams, man. This team is like, this is a super team, because these dudes are insane. But yeah, we'll get through it though.
Yeah, well, it's like, of course, each super team is different and is their own sort of unique thing. But I guess I sort of feel your emotion in terms of, here we go again. Here's a team that, if barring injury or COVID symptoms and things like that, they're highly favorites to win it all. So we'll see how it all goes down in reality. But yeah, I'm a little bummed out as well, just like you, Jermayne. How about you, Cal?
Yeah, I'm a bit let down as well. I just love watching Kyrie ball. I love watching Durant as well. He's great to watch. Haven't been the biggest James Harden fan to watch personally, and this means it's going to be less ball for Kyrie, less ball for Durant. They're going to have to share it. There's only one ball. I don't know how many shots they're going to put up each, but there's only one ball. So it will be interesting to see how it all fits out. But overall, a little bit let down. But that being said, the Rockets got the bag. They got a lot of assets back. So
they did get a decent amount of assets back. A total of, was it four pick swaps, 3 unprotected first round picks. A young player, or youngish sort of player in Oladipo. So and then an extra pick from Milwaukee as well. So they got a lot back. Probably a decent haul in the end of it. I actually didn't think that they would get that much based on the way that Harden was carrying on. But hey, I think it's a good thing for the Rockets. Like, after the last press conference, which was what prompted us to think of these fake trades, the writing was on the wall. And one thing I want to touch on with you boys is what do you think about how James Harden has gone about this, and how this whole superstar forcing their way out of a team has sort of evolved? It felt like this time around it was just that next level of extreme. And to me, it's sort of like, it really turned me off James Harden. Like, I was never a fan of him as a player in terms of his play style, but I always thought he was a decent bloke. But I don't know, this whole situation just really made me dislike James Harden. Houston has sort of, to me, seemed like they've bent over backwards for him, but I don't know, he just sort of seemed like a bit of a dick to me. So I don't know, what's your take on the whole way it went down, Cal?
I'll jump in first and just say, look, I was high on the Rockets. I was looking forward to it. I thought him and John Wall could be a good combo. And I'm let down that he just kind of gave up on them, is really the perspective I got from it. He was in that interview and he was just kind of like, look, I've given it my all. It's not working. He pretty much just admits he just wants out of there. So it's disappointing. You don't want to see that. In this league, you want to see a bit of loyalty. In the end, Houston probably did get a win out of it, in terms of they probably weren't going to win the championship. Let's be honest. They would have been exciting if it all clicked, but they probably weren't going to win it. And now they've got heaps of assets. So it is a win for them. And there's just so many, think about the big trades we've had just in this past off season. You got Westbrook traded, Chris Paul traded, now James Harden. Blockbuster trades is after another. We had big Anthony Davis last season who forced his way out. So I think it is just becoming a bit of a common theme. So we'll
It
just have
does.
to get used to it.
Yeah, it does seem like we've got like a superstar leaving their team every season now. You know, you look back. I'm just glad that Giannis signed that extension. To be honest, like that whole scenario would have been a circus as well. So I'm glad that he signed that extension. And there is some loyalty left in the NBA. But yeah, it is concerning to me that this just happening so frequently now, and that the level that it seems to be getting to in terms of, you know, not reporting to training camp and hitting up parties and things like that, especially amidst the pandemic. So I don't know. It's concerning that it's getting to that point. You know, even after the Anthony Davis thing where he was sitting out games just for random little things. So yeah. What are your thoughts, Jermaine?
Yeah, I mean, I think in one of our earlier podcasts, before the season started, like as you were saying, the writing was already on the wall. Like, you know, he was already missing practices, or he was just late to those practices, going to parties and stuff like that. So he was already expressing like a strong disinterest in playing for the Rockets from the very get-go. So, you know, him sitting out, I mean, I don't think he did sit out games, but he just didn't look very lackadaisical out there, and he just didn't look committed from day one. So I think this is, even as bad as all that sounds, this is the best thing for the Rockets, because they could just get to start a new chapter, and just blow it all up. So I think a win for the Rockets. They got rid of him. They got something back, and I guess just continue to blow it up from here now.
Do you think this is a good thing for the league, guys? Like, do you think that the league will benefit from this? Jermaine?
I don't think it will.
I'll say that it's becoming just more as a more players league, honestly. Like they just have so much power these days. You know, his new teammate Kyrie Irving.
Man, what's going on with
another
him?
culprit of it. He's just kind of flexing his arms, kind of going to do whatever he wants.
Yeah, and no consequence.
This kind of culture it's growing rapidly, and Adam Silver's going to do something. Adam Silver's got to do something about it. He's got to keep these guys. As much money as they're making for the NBA, he's got to do something.
I do think that as a result of this James Harden thing, the Kyrie Irving thing's a little bit separate, but even still, I think that the league will and should like bring on harsher consequences as a result, whether it's, you know, on giving the team more power, or if it's harsher penalties for players on doing something, making the rules a bit stricter on those sort of things. It's always hard to police. I get that, but I feel like this is going to be the motivation for something to change, something in that, I don't know, the collective bargaining agreement, whether it's the way that contracts are set up or something like that. But I do believe that this may be the catalyst for something to change. You know, in the past there was the Supermax, and then even before that there was player options and team options and things like that. I think eventually the next time that they sit down and organize, there will be a bit of a change, and this will be one of the things they point back to as a reason why, because I think the player empowerment movement is it's gone a little far, I think, in terms of players orchestrating sort of their own teams now, and it sort of leaves a lot of the league out of the picture as a result. So what do you think, Cal?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think you summed it up pretty well. The league probably should step in and do something. But until that happens, I think this is just going to keep on happening.
Let's break it down from a basketball standpoint. So obviously we've got a new big three, probably the only big three in the NBA. Really, it was the duos for a little while, but now it's Durant, Kyrie, and James Harden. So now I've got an interesting stat for you guys in terms of, we know that these guys are players that like to have the ball in their hand, but just how much is something that is actually quite shocking. If I look at the all-time career usage rates in NBA history, Kyrie Irving is 16th, Kevin Durant is 11th, and James Harden is 8th. So that's three guys who are top 16 of all time of their careers, and this includes James Harden when he was, sixth man, and Kyrie Irving when he was with LeBron, and Kevin Durant when he was on the Warriors. So like those numbers have been suppressed even, through their careers. Three of the top 16 all-time players on the same team. If we equate their usage rate over the past 3 years average, Kevin Durant's 30.8. Kyrie Irving is, what was he? Kyrie Irving was 30.8, Kevin Durant was 30.3, and James Harden was a huge 37.5. All up, that equals over 98% of the team's usage just on those three players alone. So obviously something's going to have to change. How do you guys see that playing out?
I think.
I'll say that you got DeAndre Jordan, right?
Yeah,
you go first, Jermaine. All right, I'll step in and say you got DeAndre Jordan. You can just tell him to get rebounds, so you can make his usage like 0. So that's one tick right there. You just need to have Joe Harris. I guess you have to convince him to just take 1-3 a game, and the math can work out, right?
Yeah, sure. And then literally that's it.
Yeah. So look, obviously they'll have to take a bit of a step back. I think Kyrie's gone. I don't know what he's doing. So you can bring James Harden in, get his usage up, get him feeling a bit comfortable. With the three of them, you can obviously stagger their minutes a fair bit. So when one or two of them are off the court, that one guy's obviously just taking up everything or creating every single time. So I can see it happen. It just obviously this means that, there's just going to be less shots for specifically Kyrie and Kevin Durant this season.
Yeah. What do you reckon, Jermaine?
Yeah, I mean, as ridiculous as 98% sounds, I still think they're going to win, even if they did play with a ridiculously high usage rate. Because, hey, it's Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving. Like, these dudes are like on like the Mount Rushmore of like most talented players of all time.
Scorers, at least, definitely offensively.
Talented,
We've seen the Splash Brothers and Kevin Durant join in. Like someone like a Klay Thompson was nowhere near the usage rate of these guys. And for those of you you've probably heard of usage rate, but what usage rate is a possession that ends in a shot attempt, a free throw attempt, or a turnover. Is basically what usage rate is. So the amount it correlates that with the ball in your hands, but not necessarily just that. But these guys are putting up shots or getting to the line or turning the ball over a ton. So I don't think it's ever been done in the history of the league before in terms of this amount to this level. But like you said, Cal, I think that's staggering. I don't think there's going to be a time at any point during the game, as long as it's close, that these guys, one of these guys is not on the court. I think at all times, one of James Harden, Kyrie, and Durant are going to be on the court, as long as the game is somewhat in doubt. And that's how they'll orchestrate it. Tough task for new coach in Steve Nash. So see how he handles that.
Look, I'll say this: if you look at the numbers here, you've got James Harden this season. I understand he probably hasn't been 100% motivated, but he's been putting up 16.9 field goal attempts per game. And Karis LeVert, filling in that 6-man role for the Nets, has been putting up 16.7 field goal attempts per game. So that's pretty much the exact same amount of shots. One player's putting up 18 points, other player's putting up 25. So a bit different there. You get the three throws with James Harden. But from that perspective, the field goal attempts could be a little bit similar. But obviously, James Harden's so good at creating, and that's why his usage is so high.
Yeah, I guarantee he's going to take more shots. Just from someone who, again, we'll talk about fantasy in the second half of the podcast, but someone who was the James Harden owner in Dynasty, I've been watching the Rockets very closely, and he couldn't give a shit, honestly. Like he is not getting to the rim. He is settling just for pull-up jump shots and step backs, and he doesn't give a fuck. Like he's been cruising. So I guarantee that number will increase as he gets to Brooklyn. But we'll see how it all works out. I think obviously they're going to be a huge offensive threat. What do you think about their defense in terms of, James Harden has his issues with defense. Kyrie Irving's obviously a small guard. Joe Harris, not the best defender. Even DeAndre Jordan, as he, gets blocks and puts up rebounds, but in terms of speed and quickness, he's not really he's not in his prime anymore. I think this team could struggle to stop people from scoring points, and it could be maybe one of their weaknesses. Jermaine?
Yeah, I still think. I mean, I think they're struggling now. Because they do like to play the small ball with Jeff Green at the center. So that itself is a pretty big hole, I guess.
Yeah.
Matching up against bigger teams. So Jeff Green at center, Kevin Durant at power forward. Yeah. And even I don't think Kevin is quite he's quite locked in defensively this year.
Yeah.
And obviously due to the injuries, probably still just trying to feel himself offensively. But I think that'll just be their second priority, really. I mean, they're going to be scoring 120, 130 points a game.
Yeah,
and then just guess running up and down the floor.
Yeah, you got D'Antoni as an assistant coach on that bench as well. So defense is optional, really.
United.
Yeah, yeah. Do you think defense could let this team down, Cal?
It definitely could, but I will say one big upside on the defensive end. Because of the lineup, I guess they're forced to play with, we will see a lot of, say in a Lakers series, we're going to see a lot of Kevin Durant maybe going up against Anthony Davis. Otherwise, they put DeAndre Jordan on him. And you're going to see Kevin Durant go up against like LeBron James head to head. James Harden will have to defend LeBron James. So that'd be cool to watch. Even a series against the Clippers, potentially the Clippers make the finals and Brooklyn make the finals. That'd be cool to watch us to see, Kawhi and Paul George getting marked by probably James Harden and Kevin Durant. So they'd actually go at each other the whole series. It'd be incredibly offensive orientated. So from a playoff series point of view, this actually could be really exciting for the fans.
I'm looking forward to a potential Milwaukee Bucks and Brooklyn matchup in the playoffs on the Eastern side of things, because I don't know who they're going to throw at Giannis. I don't think they've got really, the Heat had lots of players to throw at him. I don't see anyone on this Brooklyn team that's going to stop Giannis getting to the rim 20, 25 times a game. So it'll be interesting to see how that all works. Let's go on to sort of tie a bow on this sort of thing. Do we think that they are the favorites to win it all? Like, do we think that they will win it?
I'll start off by saying depends on how Kyrie Irving feels.
That's a big factor. Yeah,
that's so underrated, man. This dude is such a wild card. He's been seen on bloody Zoom calls like we are doing now during the when they were bursting Denver. So
was he actually?
Yeah.
Oh my god! Wait, so he was like at home on Zoom while they were playing?
Yeah, he was attending some sort of like he was for a good cause, but I mean completely unprofessional.
couldn't have waited like an hour or so. Yeah.
Anyway. And to me, that's a big factor. I mean, James Harden, Kevin Durant, yeah, they're good.
Yeah,
they're probably going to need Kyrie to lock in for them to be the favorites. So I'm not going to give it to them quite yet.
Who's the favorite if you don't think it's Brooklyn? So the Lakers?
Right there, mate.
Oh, he pulls it out.
Jeez, he's like he orchestrated that.
Oh, boy.
Oh, no.
Cal, do you think they should be the favorites, the Nets?
I'll just say, I think Kyrie will obviously come back for the playoffs and lock in. Like, he's offensive kind of player. He just gets buckets. So I don't see it being an issue in the playoffs. Right now, it's obviously an issue. But I think the favorites should still be the Lakers. They're more balanced. LeBron's still the best player really on the court. The thing that Anthony Davis brings in comparison to the big three in Brooklyn is that he's actually a defensive anchor that none of those other guys are. And, LeBron James can create good shots for so many role players that I just feel like they'd still be the favorites just because of the defensive end, and their offense is still incredible. So, I pick the Lakers.
I think there are enough doubts for that to be a legit question. I think if Kyrie was locked in, Kevin Durant hadn't come off an Achilles injury, we'd seen them play and it was all going smooth sailing. The talent alone would be, you just pick them, you'd say they're the Golden State Warriors. But the Warriors that separated themselves, I think they fit a lot better. They had a deeper roster. They had some defensive players like Draymond Green, Clay, Durant. Obviously, we're all decent defenders. So I don't think this team is going to be as good as that team that we just penciled in to win the championship year in, year out. And it took sort of 2 season-ending injuries to sort of knock them off. But I have to think that they're if not the favorites, the next favorite to win it all. It'll come down to matchups. Like I said, I'm interested to see how like a Milwaukee Bucks or something like that would go against them. The Lakers, I think, would be maybe a bit of a kryptonite with their sort of size of LeBron and AD. I think they probably match up better against the Clippers. The Clippers probably aren't quite as deep as they were last year, and they rely on wing players, which I think they could probably guard a bit better. But yeah, I'd say if not number 1B sort of behind the Lakers, I would say. But we'll be interesting to see how the matchups work out.